Rain hammered the Gothic spires of the Dakota building like divine punishment. It was the kind of storm that turned Manhattan's Upper West Side into something from a Victorian nightmare. The kind that washed filth off the streets but did nothing for the rot beneath. Lightning cracked across the bruised sky, illuminating ancient stone gargoyles that had watched over 72nd Street for over a century. They seemed to scream silently into the void. Inside the fortress of old money and older secrets, Brenna Ashcroft moved through the servants' corridor like a ghost. 22 years old, small-framed, with hazel eyes that had learned to see everything while appearing to notice nothing. Her brown hair pulled back in a tight bun, not a strand out of place. The black uniform starched to military precision. Invisibility was survival in a house like this. 6 months she'd worked at the Dakota. 6 months carrying linens through shadowed hallways. 6 months polishing silver worth more than her childhood home in Iowa. 6 months being furniture to people who lived in clouds above the city. She paused at a window overlooking Central Park. Trees thrashed in the wind. City lights blurred into watercolor streaks. Beautiful in a violent way. It reminded her of home, reminded her why she was here. Her mother, stage 4, bills piling up faster than prayers could push them back. Her sister Celeste, 19, brilliant, studying pre-med at Columbia on a scholarship that covered tuition but not life. Not textbooks. Not rent in a city that devoured dreams and bank accounts equally. Every 2 weeks, Brenna sent money home. Every 2 weeks, she watched her paycheck disappear into a transfer machine. Every 2 weeks, she told herself invisibility was a small price for keeping family afloat. The penthouse was supposed to be empty tonight. Mr. Ravencroft was in Boston. Business negotiations running past midnight. That's what the head butler said. What Dominic Grimwald, head of security, confirmed this morning. She reached the linen closet and began counting towels, mindless work that let thoughts drift. Celeste's last call, excited about some research opportunity, something about CRISPR and gene editing. Brenna didn't understand half of it, but she loved hearing her sister's voice light up with passion. The elevator chimed. Brenna froze, hands tightening on Egyptian cotton towels. The elevator wasn't supposed to chime. No one was supposed to be here. Footsteps, measured, confident, moving toward the main salon. She peered around the corner. The hallway stretched before her, all dark mahogany and soft golden light. A figure moved through shadows. Lucian Ravencroft, 3 hours early. She knew his silhouette by now, tall, 6'2", with shoulders that filled tailored suits perfectly. He moved with unnatural grace. No wasted motion, no sound despite Italian leather shoes that probably cost 3 months of her salary. He was loosening his tie as he walked, dark hair wet from rain. Even from distance, she could see tension in his shoulders. Boston hadn't gone well. She should retreat, disappear into servants' quarters. That was protocol. Staff were never seen unless summoned. But something stopped her. A smell. Perfume. Chanel No. 5. Vivian's scent. It hung in the air like accusation. Vivian was supposed to be at the Met Gala. The event ran until 11. It was only 9:15. Why was her perfume so strong? Why did it smell fresh, not faded from morning? Lucian reached for the salon door handles, his pale hand against dark wood, long fingers. No wedding ring yet. That was scheduled for next month. Everything in Brenna screamed to stay quiet, to let him open that door, to remain invisible. But 2 weeks ago she'd been in the library, dusting upper shelves, moving so quietly that 2 people who entered hadn't noticed her on the ladder behind heavy curtains. She'd heard them talking, whispering, laughing. Vivian and Dominic. They hadn't been discussing security schedules. Brenna's hand moved before her brain caught up. She set towels down, her heart trying to beat out of her chest. This was insane. This was suicide. This was everything she'd been told never to do. She stepped from shadows, walked toward him. Lucian's hand was already on the handle, already turning it. In another second, he'd be inside. In another second, whatever was happening would unfold. She couldn't let that happen. Her hand shot out. Fingers wrapped around his wrist. Contact was electric. His skin cool, not cold, but cooler than it should be. The shock froze them both for a heartbeat. Then Lucian spun, fast, faster than any human should move. His eyes, normally cool blue-gray, flashed crimson for a split second. His lips pulled back, revealing teeth suddenly, impossibly sharp. His free hand came up, fingers curled like claws, moving toward her throat with lethal precision. Brenna's breath stopped. Time crawled. She stared into the face of something not entirely human, something ancient, something hungry. Then recognition flickered. Red faded from his eyes. Fangs retracted. His hand stopped inches from her neck, trembling with restraint. He stared at her, really stared, like seeing her for the first time despite 6 months in his home. His voice came low, dangerous, barely controlled. "Brenna, do you have a death wish? Never touch me." She should have let go, should have apologized and fled, but her fingers stayed locked around his wrist. Her grip tightened, knuckles white, her whole body shaking. She could feel his pulse. Slow, too slow, like a heartbeat that forgot how to hurry. "Please," she whispered, broken, desperate. "Don't go in there." Lucian's eyes narrowed. He looked at her hand on his wrist, then back at her face. For her to physically stop him was unprecedented. Impossible. "Vivian is inside. Why are you stopping me? Is she injured?" Brenna shook her head frantically, her bun unraveling, strands falling across her face. She looked at the heavy oak doors, then back at the man who wasn't entirely a man. She raised a shaking finger to her lips. "Stay silent," she mouthed. No sound, just the shape of words. "If you value your life, stay silent." The words hung between them like held breath. Lucian stared. Something shifted behind his eyes. Calculation, interest, cold unease forming. He was immortal, 300 years old. He'd survived European purges, dismantled Romani hunters in the 90s, ruled East Coast territories with iron fist wrapped in velvet corporate legitimacy. What could possibly threaten him behind 2 oak doors in his own home? But this girl, this invisible, terrified girl, was risking everything to warn him. Her hand trembled so violently he felt it through his sleeve. Her heart hammered like trapped wings. The scent of her fear filled his nostrils. Pure, genuine, overwhelming. And yet she didn't let go. Slowly, deliberately, Lucian nodded once. He dissolved his physical form for a split second. Old trick, older than the building. His body became mist, shadow, something slipping between molecules. He reformed next to the wall, merging with darkness, pooling in corners. He gestured for Brenna to follow. She swallowed hard, wiped a tear with the back of her hand, then moved, quick, silent, leading him into the servants' corridor, the narrow passage behind walls, designed for staff to move unseen, to be ghosts in the machine of luxury. Dark here, walls plain plaster, not marble, floor concrete, not imported tile. This was skeleton beneath skin, truth behind facade. A ventilation grate in the wall, small, brass, old-fashioned. It looked down directly into the grand salon. Brenna pressed against the wall, making room for Lucian. He leaned forward, peering through brass slats. What he saw made his undead heart stop, then restart with fury, threatening to crack walls. The salon was dimly lit, fireplace crackling with orange flames, throwing dancing shadows across Persian rugs, floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing storm and skyline. Rain-streaked glass like tears. Vivian was there, not at the Met Gala, wearing a silk robe, champagne-colored, the one Lucian bought in Milan last spring. Blonde hair loose, cascading over shoulders, pouring a drink from the crystal decanter, the expensive scotch, the one Lucian saved for special occasions. But she wasn't alone. Sitting in Lucian's favorite leather armchair, swirling Lucian's private reserve, wearing Lucian's trust like a forgotten coat, was Dominic Grimwald. Lucian's second, his enforcer, the man trusted with armory keys and daytime slumber safety, Dominic, who vetted household staff, Dominic who managed accounts, Dominic who Lucian called brother. Sitting in Lucian's chair, drinking Lucian's scotch, looking at Lucian's fiancée with an expression not professional, not distant, not appropriate in any conceivable universe. Vivian spoke first, voice sharp. Devoid of sweetness she used around Lucian, the honeyed tones for jewelry requests, Paris trips, fund injections into charity work that never produced results. He's late. He should have been back hours ago if the meeting went poorly. If it went well, he's celebrating in Boston. She sipped scotch, face twisted in distaste. She didn't like scotch, Lucian knew that, but she pretended because he liked it. Dominic's voice came next, smooth, arrogant, nothing like the respectful tone he used addressing Lucian. He's not celebrating. I sent Kovac to ensure the Lycans were uncooperative. Lucian is likely bogged down in diplomatic cleanup. The words hit Lucian like physical blows. Kovac, the Russian mercenary, the one Dominic recommended, the one Lucian trusted on Dominic's word, sent to sabotage Boston. By Dominic. Lucian's hands clenched. Plaster wall cracked under his grip, hairline fractures spreading like spider webs. Dust drifted down. Brenna placed a hand gently on his arm, warm, human, grounding. Her eyes pleaded silently. Maintain control. Don't break. Not yet. He forced himself to breathe. Unnecessary habit from human days, but one that helped center. Focus. Think. Vivian sighed, walked to the window staring at storm. Lightning illuminated her profile. She was beautiful, objectively stunning. That's what drew him initially. The accidental coffee shop meeting 3 years ago, spilled latte, stammered apologies, spark of something that felt for the first time in centuries like fate. I can't keep doing this, Dominic, playing doting fiancé. His skin is so cold. The way he looks at me, like I'm some fragile doll he saved from poverty. Dominic chuckled. Dark. Cruel. A sound Lucian never heard before. You were a doll he saved from poverty, my dear. Don't forget, before we planted you in that coffee shop 3 years ago, you were barely making rent in Queens, living with 2 roommates in a studio, working double shifts for tips that didn't cover student loans. Planted. The word echoed like gunshot in cathedral. Planted. The meeting 3 years ago, spilled latte, touch of hands reaching for napkins. Whirlwind romance that felt like the universe finally, mercifully, giving him a gift after 300 years of loneliness. It was a script. Every moment, every smile, every whispered, I love you, in darkness. Rehearsed, performed, purchased. Lucian felt the world tilt. Walls closing in. 3 centuries of existence. 300 years watching humans live and die like mayflies. 300 years telling himself immortality was the price of power. That loneliness was Crown's cost. Then Vivian, the first person in 100 years who made him believe maybe he didn't have to be alone forever. It was a lie. All of it. Calculated, choreographed lie. In the salon, Vivian snapped, voice rising. I know. But when do we end it? The wedding is in a month. I am not marrying that leech. Dominic stood, crossed to her, movements possessive, familiar. Wrapped arms around her waist from behind, pulled her against his chest, kissed her neck with ease of long practice. They'd been together a long time, longer than 3 years. Intimacy practiced, comfortable, real in a way Lucian's relationship with Vivian never was. Dominic murmured against her skin. We don't need the wedding. We just need the ascension ceremony. Lucian froze. The ascension ceremony. Scheduled for the night before the wedding. Ritual as old as vampire bloodlines. The moment when king shared prime blood with consort, granting partial immortality, extended life, accelerated healing, bond tying them for centuries, also a moment of supreme vulnerability. King's defenses lowered, blood pure and unguarded, power flowing outward instead of hoarded inward. For those precious minutes, a vampire king was close to mortal as possible. Dominic continued, voice dropping to conspiratorial whisper, carrying through the grate like poison. Dr. Crane will have the compound ready by then. We swap the ceremonial chalice. Instead of binding elixir, we use white oleander pathogen. Next to Lucian, Brenna gasped. Soft sound, barely audible, but it cut through darkness like a knife. Lucian looked at her, face pale, hazel eyes wide with horror. She knew. She knew what white oleander was, not poison that killed vampires. Death would be mercy. White oleander was worse. Compound, developed during Dark Ages by hunters who understood killing immortals wasn't punishment enough. Killing was release. White oleander calcified them, turned them into living statues, conscious but paralyzed, aware but unable to move, trapped in their own bodies for eternity, every thought intact, every sensation present, but frozen, locked inside stone while the world moved on. War crime by High Council standards, creation banned, use grounds for immediate execution, and Dominic somehow acquired it. In the salon, Vivian turned in Dominic's arms, face eager, excited, mask worn for Lucian completely gone. And then? Dominic smiled, all teeth, no warmth, pure predatory satisfaction. Then Lucian becomes a beautiful statue in the foyer, monument to the past. I take the mantle of king by right of conquest. You, my love, become my queen. We liquidate his assets, sell territory to Russians, live like gods in Monaco. Vivian laughed, bright, musical, genuine in ways her laughs with Lucian never were. It twisted in his chest like ice knife. Gods in Monaco. I like the sound of that. They kissed. Long, deep, celebratory. Two people in love, planning their future over the corpse of someone who trusted them. Lucian pulled back from the grate. Rage was gone. It transformed into something colder, harder, more dangerous. Dissociation so complete his emotions seemed to belong to someone else, some other fool who believed in fairy tales. He wasn't sad, wasn't angry, was empty. In that emptiness, he found clarity. He looked at Brenna. The maid was shaking, tears streaming down her face, crying for him. This girl who barely knew him, who had every reason to walk away and save herself, crying for his pain. When was the last time someone cried for him? His voice barely above whisper. How long have you known? Brenna wiped her face with her apron. White fabric came away wet and gray. I heard them 2 weeks ago, in the library. I was dusting upper shelves. They didn't see me. Of course not. No one ever saw the help. I wanted to tell you, sir, truly. Voice broke on the words. Fresh tears spilled. But Dominic, he threatened my sister, said if I spoke a word he'd find Celeste at university, and she couldn't finish, hands shaking too hard, whole body trembling with weight of 2 weeks carrying this secret. 2 weeks walking past Dominic in halls, 2 weeks serving Vivian breakfast, 2 weeks smiling and nodding and being invisible while knowledge burned in her chest like swallowed fire. Lucian looked at this human girl, prey in a house of predators. No power, no wealth, no connections, nothing protecting her from creatures that forgot mortality. Yet she stood between him and that door, grabbed his wrist despite knowing instinctively he was dangerous. She saved him from walking into a trap where he'd be outnumbered and subdued before processing betrayal, where Dominic and Vivian could call reinforcements, where white oleander could be administered early, off schedule, catching him unprepared. She saved his life, risked her own to do it. You risked your life tonight. Words simple, factual. But something underneath, something like wonder. Brenna's voice barely whisper, I couldn't let them do it. Why? Question hung heavy, loaded with centuries of cynicism and 300 years learning everyone wanted something. Brenna met his eyes, hers red-rimmed, swollen, but steady. You were kind to me. On Christmas. You gave me extra week off when Mom was sick. No one else cares about staff. You did. Lucian blinked. He barely remembered. Trivial administrative decision. Assistant brought him the request. Time off for sick parent. He approved without thinking. Added extra week because holiday season was slow. Told payroll full salary because docking pay while someone's mother died seemed needlessly cruel. It was nothing. Footnote in his year. To her, it was everything. Sir, Brenna's voice urgent, scared. You have to leave, now. If they catch you, they'll call Kovac. They have guards in the lower lobby, Dominic's men, not yours. She was right. Smart play was leave, disappear, regroup. Plan. Strike from strength instead of walking into kill zone. Lucian straightened his jacket. Cold predator back. 300-year-old vampire who built empire on enemies' bones. King who survived purges and wars and betrayals that would break lesser immortals. But this betrayal was different. This was personal. He looked at the grate, then back at Brenna. Expression shifted. Dark, terrifying grin spread across his face. Smile of something that forgot how to be human. Something that remembered what it meant to hunt. No, Brenna, I'm not running from my own home. Voice dropped lower, became something vibrating in bones. Something making shadows lean in to listen. They want a ceremony. They want a performance. I think we should give them one. He reached into jacket pocket, pulled out phone, dialed a number unused in 50 years. Rang once, twice. Third ring, it connected. Voice on the other end, old, cracked with age, but sharp. Lucian spoke one word. Crane. Brenna stared. Who are you calling? Lucian's smile widened. Fangs caught what little light filtered through, gleamed like pearls in shadows. The only thing worse than a traitor. An old friend. He spoke quietly into phone. Brenna couldn't hear the other side, but she watched Lucian's face, watched calculation, cold fury channeled into something precise, surgical. When he hung up, he turned. Brenna, go to your room, lock the door, put on headphones. Don't come out until I come for you. What are you going to do? Question, barely whisper. Lucian's expression softened slightly. Just a moment, just enough for her to see the man underneath monster. Person who'd once been human, who still remembered, however dimly, what it meant to feel. I'm going to play the role of ignorant fiancé. Walk in there, kiss her cheek, shake his hand, paused, softness vanished. Predator returned. And I'm going to wait. Wait for what? For the dinner party on Saturday. Brenna's eyes widened. Lucian placed hand on her shoulder, touch cool but gentle, careful, like afraid his strength might break her. Dominic mentioned liquidating assets to Russians. Let's invite them. Let's invite everyone. Eyes met hers, blue-gray in darkness, ancient, tired, but burning with purpose, almost terrifying in intensity. Thank you, Brenna. Your silence just saved the kingdom. Brenna nodded, didn't trust her voice. Turned and scurried into servants' quarters shadows, moving on muscle memory, finding her small room at hall's end. Narrow bed, single window, looking at air shaft. She locked the door, sat on bed, put face in hands. Tried very hard not to think about what she'd just set in motion. In the main corridor, Lucian took deep breath, smoothed hair, adjusted tie, checked reflection in darkened window. Looked tired, wet from rain, but otherwise normal, human, harmless, perfect. He walked to main foyer, opened front door loudly this time, slammed it with enough force to rattle pictures. "Vivian!" voice boomed. Cheerful, loud. Voice of a man with no idea his world was burning. "I'm home." Inside Grand Salon, through walls, he heard frantic shuffling. Clinking glasses set down hastily. Rustle of clothing adjusted. Heavy silence of secrets shoved back into dark where they belonged. Lucian walked towards salon doors. The game had begun. The days leading to Saturday were masterclass in psychological warfare. Only Lucian knew it. He played the part perfectly. brought Vivian breakfast in bed every morning. Croissants from Madison Avenue Bakery she pretended to love but never finished, coffee with cream and 2 sugars, fresh roses in crystal vases, apologized for late nights in study, explaining Boston negotiations created paperwork cascade needing immediate attention. She ate it up, every word, every gesture, every calculated moment of affection. At night, when she slept beside him, breathing deep and even, Lucian stared at ceiling and catalogued his rage, turned it over like a jeweler examining a diamond, found every facet, every angle, every way light caught and refracted into something sharp enough to cut. But during day he smiled. He deferred to Dominic on security, asked opinions on guard placement for engagement party, praised efficiency, watched smug satisfaction grow in his second's eyes like mold on bread. Dominic thought he was winning, that was the point. While they slept, Lucian worked. Vampires didn't need sleep like humans, more meditation than rest, shutting down unnecessary systems to conserve energy. But Lucian was disciplined, could go weeks without if necessary. This week, very necessary. The penthouse had a sub-vault, room 3 levels below lowest parking garage, lined with lead and spelled against eavesdropping by a witch Lucian knew in the 1700s. She was dust now, but her magic held. Perfect black box, no signals in, no signals out, nothing but stone and silence and secrets. Lucian spent nights there. First night he pulled Dominic's financial records, 50 years of transactions, payroll, expenses, investments. Dominic was careful, embezzlement small, surgical, amounts that wouldn't trigger audits. Money siphoned into accounts looking legitimate on surface. But Lucian had 3 centuries reading between lines humans didn't know existed. He found shell companies, nested inside each other like Russian dolls, each layer adding separation. Another wall of plausible deniability. They led to Cayman Islands Bank. Account under name, Ashford. Vivian's surname. Deposits went back 3 years. Started small, grew larger. Timing matched perfectly with their courtship. Every gift Lucian gave Vivian, every check for charity work, every allowance for lifestyle, all filtered through these accounts, cleaned, redistributed, prepared for the day. Dominic and Vivian would disappear into sunset with Lucian's fortune. Lucian printed everything, built file 2 inches thick, evidence holding up in any court, human or otherwise. Second night, deeper. He hacked Dominic's email. Wasn't hard. Dominic was old school. Trusted physical security over digital. Passwords laughably simple. Dead wife's name and death year. Isabel, 1993. Emails painted a picture. Conversations with Kovac about Boston sabotage. Discussions with Monaco contacts about property. Vivian's messages, cloying and manipulative, discussing wedding details with enthusiasm of someone planning a funeral they looked forward to. But another correspondence. Someone called the Collector. Brief, encrypted, but not well enough. Lucian had software from a hacker he'd turned in early 2000s. Kid brilliant. Also stupid enough trying to steal from Lucian. Now worked for Lucian. Voluntarily. Mostly. The Collector's messages were instructions, not suggestions, not advice, orders. Proceed with timeline as discussed. Pathogen will be delivered to Dr. Crane's rival, Dr. Marius. He'll provide without knowing true purpose. Ensure vault remains undisturbed until after ceremony. That last one caught attention. The vault. What vault, Maud? He scrolled through older emails, found a message from 6 months ago. Gift has been placed in Vault 7. Do not open. Do not disturb. It will activate ceremony night. Consider it insurance. Vault 7. Lucian leaned back. Sub-vault suddenly felt smaller, colder. He knew every vault in this building, built half himself. Vault 7 was in catacombs beneath Dakota, dated back to building's original construction in 1880s, maybe earlier. Foundation built on something older, pre-colonial. Builders found tunnels, caves, sealed them, and pretended they didn't exist. Lucian unsealed them, used them. Vault 7 was deepest storage, place for things too dangerous to destroy, too volatile to expose. Artifacts from Nazi occult division, Inquisition relics, objects humming with power, making even vampires nervous. He hadn't opened Vault 7 in decades. What had the collector put inside? Third night he brought Brenna into Vault. She'd been avoiding him since Sunday, moving through penthouse like ghost of ghost, more invisible than ever. He caught glimpses in hallways, flash of uniform disappearing around corners, sound of footsteps retreating whenever he entered rooms. She was terrified of him, of situation, of what she'd set in motion. He found her in kitchen at 2 a.m., making tea, chamomile, hands shaking as she poured water, kettle rattling against cup. "Brenna!" She jumped, spun, cup shattered on floor. Porcelain and hot water spreading across tile. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I'll clean it up. I didn't mean—" "Stop." Lucian's voice quiet, firm, not angry, just tired. She stopped, pressed against counter, heart hammering. He could hear it across the room, smell adrenaline in her sweat. "Come with me. I need to show you something." "Sir, please." The word surprised them both. Lucian didn't say please often, didn't need to. But right now, standing in kitchen at 2 a.m., with the only person in this building who tried to save him, it felt necessary. Brenna nodded. Left broken cup on floor, followed. They took service elevator down, past lobby, past parking levels, into sub-basement, then lower, into spaces not on any blueprint. Spaces requiring a key Lucian wore on chain around neck, key older than America. Catacombs smelled of earth and age, walls rough stone, floor uneven. Emergency lights flickered every 20 feet, creating pools of pale light in ocean of shadow. Brenna stayed close, breathing shallow, quick. Fear smell intensified. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere safe, somewhere we can talk without being overheard." They passed vault doors, heavy iron reinforced with silver and blessed by priests dead centuries ago, each marked with number, Vault 1, 2, 3, 4. At Vault 5, Lucian stopped, pulled out key. Inserted into lock-looking medieval because it was. Door swung open with groan of old hinges. Inside was room size of large closet, concrete floor, stone walls, single light bulb hanging from ceiling, table with 2 chairs. On table sat shotgun. Brenna stared. "What is that?" "Insurance." Lucian picked up weapon. Jericho. Chrome-plated, short-barreled, engraved with crosses and Latin prayers. Beautiful, how dangerous things often are. "Do you know how to shoot?" Brenna shook head. "I'm going to teach you." "Why?" Lucian set gun down, looked at her, really looked. This girl who risked everything, who had nothing to gain and everything to lose, who grabbed his wrist and whispered 2 words saving his life. "Because Saturday night, things are going to get dangerous. I need you able to protect yourself. I don't understand." "You will." He spent next 2 hours teaching how to hold weapon, how to aim, how to breathe, how to squeeze trigger instead of pulling. Vault was soundproofed. Shots echoed but went nowhere. Brenna flinched first 12 times, then stopped flinching, started focusing, started hitting targets Lucian set up. Natural, steady hands once fear wore off, good instincts. When done, Lucian showed her ammunition, special shells, red casings, different from normal bullets. "What's in these?" "White phosphorus and holy water, burns at 3,000 degrees, doesn't go out in water or air. Holy water prevents supernatural healing." Brenna's eyes widened. "What am I supposed to shoot?" "Pray you never find out." He handed her the box, watched her turn it over. "There's something else you need to know." Lucian sat in one chair, gestured for Brenna to take the other. She did, slowly, like expecting chair to bite. Dominic wasn't always like this. 50 years ago, most loyal soldier I'd known. We fought together, bled together, built this territory from nothing. Voice went distant, remembering. He had a wife. "Isabel." Human. He loved her more than anything in this world or next. She knew what he was, didn't care. They were happy. What happened? Romani Hunters happened. 1993. They'd been quiet decades, then suddenly came back, organized, well-funded. New weapons, new tactics. Hit 3 safe houses one night. Lucian's hands clenched on table. I ordered counterstrike. Hit them before they hit us again. Dominic led raid. I stayed behind coordinating. We thought we had good intelligence. Thought we knew where their base was. You were wrong. We were wrong. It was a school. Boarding school for Romani children. Hunters using it as front. Storing weapons in basement. Training in gymnasium. But there were still children there. Teachers. Civilians. Silence stretched. Isabel was a teacher. Took job there 3 months earlier. Didn't tell Dominic because she knew he'd worry. She was there when we hit. Caught in crossfire. Brenna's hand went to mouth. Dominic tried to save her. Got to her before she bled out. Tried turning her. But she'd been hit with blessed silver. Body rejected change. She died in his arms. And he blamed you. He blamed me. I gave the order. I approved intelligence. I sent him into that building. It was my fault she died. Lucian looked up, met Brenna's eyes. So when you ask why Dominic's doing this, that's why. Not about power or money. About revenge. About making me suffer how he suffered. About taking everything I love and destroying it before me. But you said Vivian was planted 3 years ago. He's been planning long. 50 years is long to nurse grudge. But for immortals, it's a blink. He waited, watched, found perfect moment, perfect weapon. Vivian. Vivian. Brenna was quiet, processing. Do you love her? Question surprised Lucian. Did he love Vivian? He'd thought so. Convinced himself the feeling in his chest when she smiled was love. That the way she fit against him when they danced was fate. That the future he imagined with her was real. But now, sitting in vault beneath earth, with girl who'd shown him more genuine care in one moment than Vivian had in 3 years, he realized truth. No, I loved the idea of her. I loved not being alone, but I didn't love her. How could I? She was never real. Brenna nodded, seemed to understand. What happened Saturday? Saturday we invite High Council to dinner, all 5 members. Tell them it's to announce wedding date officially. Formal affair. And then? Lucian smiled. Wasn't nice smile. Then we see who else has been lying. 4th night, Dr. Silas Crane arrived. Came through service entrance at 3 a.m., hunched figure in long coat, smelling of chemicals and old books. Crane was 400 years old, looked 70, born in German village that didn't exist anymore. Turned during 30 Years' War by vampire who thought his medical knowledge might be useful. It had been. Crane was best alchemist East Coast, maybe world. Could brew potions making humans forget, compounds killing vampires, serums making dead walk, and living wish they were dead. Also one of Lucian's oldest friends. They met in subvault. Crane set leather bag on table, opened carefully. Inside were 3 vials, clear liquid catching light strangely. Veritas serum, vervain from Holy Spring in Lourdes, mixed with blessed water from Jordan River. Aged in oak barrels blessed by Bishop I may have compelled slightly. Will it work on vampires? Works on anything with nervous system. Once ingested, subject unable to lie approximately 30 minutes. Every word from their mouth will be truth, whether they want or not. Side effects? Intense discomfort, mild paralysis, overwhelming compulsion to confess sins. Tested on werewolf last month. He admitted 3 murders and having feelings for pack leader's wife. Very awkward. Lucian picked up vial, held to light. How much? 3 drops per glass. More risks cardiac arrest in humans. Permanent catatonia in vampires. Truth pours out so fast brains might break trying to stop. Good. Crane raised eyebrow. Who exactly are you planning this on? High Council. All of them. Crane whistled low. Ambitious. Also possibly suicidal. If this goes wrong, it won't. You sound confident for someone planning to drug 5 most powerful vampires in North America. Lucian set vial down carefully. I have help. What kind? The kind that sees what everyone else misses. Fifth night was Friday, 24 hours before dinner. Lucian was in study when Brenna entered with tea tray. Looked pale, eyes darting nervously. Set tray down with shaking hands. Sir, Dominic was asking about guest list tomorrow. Seemed agitated you invited High Council. Did he? You told him to announce wedding date officially. He couldn't refuse without looking suspicious. Lucian nodded. Took tea sip, too strong, but drank anyway. He's planning something for dinner. I saw him hiding vial in jacket. Not oleander, something else. Lucian leaned back. Frenzy inducer. Brenna's eyes widened. What's that? Compound causing vampires to lose control, go into blood rage, attack anything moving. If I went into frenzy before High Council, they'd be forced executing me, or stripping my crown. Dominic would look like hero, stepping in to put down Mad Dog. What do we do? Lucian stood, walked to bookshelf, pulled specific book, Dante's Inferno, first edition, worth more than most made in lifetime. Shelf clicked, swung open, revealed hidden safe, pulled out vials Crane gave, set on desk. Tomorrow night you'll serve wine. You, not head butler. Me? But usually. I dismissed head butler this afternoon. Family emergency. He's on flight to Alaska now. Brenna's mouth opened. Closed. You fired him. Head butler's been on Dominic's payroll 6 months. I have bank transfers proving it. He's lucky I'm only firing him. Lucian handed her vials. There'll be 2 decanters of blood wine, red crystal for guests, clear crystal for me. Dominic will try spiking clear decanter. He'll add frenzy inducer when no one's looking. So I don't let him? No, you let him. Brenna squeaked. You let him spike clear decanter, but before bringing either out, you switch tags. Red becomes clear. Clear becomes red. Understanding dawned. So he'll drink from the one he spiked. Exactly. Before bringing out red decanter, the one going to guests, you add this. Showed her Veritas serum. 3 drops per glass. No more. No less. Pour carefully. Make sure everyone drinks. Including you? I won't drink from red decanter. I'll drink from clear. The one Dominic thinks he spiked. Actually clean. Brenna turned vials over, face set with determination, fear still there, but buried under something harder, something like purpose. What happens when they start telling truth? Lucian's smile was cold. We find out exactly who we can trust and who needs removing. Saturday arrived like execution. Day was clear, bright, unseasonably warm for October. Kind of day making you forget winter was coming. That darkness always followed light. Lucian spent morning with Vivian, took her to brunch at Plaza, bought another bracelet she didn't need, listened to her chatter about wedding flowers and seating arrangements, smiled and nodded and played devoted fiancé. She had no idea this was goodbye. Afternoon spent with preparations. Penthouse transformed. Staff hired specifically for tonight. People Dominic never met. Set up dining room. White tablecloths, crystal glasses, silver polished reflecting like mirrors. Brenna moved through all like shadow, checking, double-checking, rehearsing in mind what she'd do. Lucian caught her eye once. Across dining room, she was adjusting fork already perfect. He gave small nod. She nodded back. They were ready. Sunset at 6:15. City lights came on like stars falling upward. By 7, first guests arrived. Lord Alistair Thornfield came in Bentley. Ancient, British. Controlled banking sector for East Coast territories. Old money in every sense. Looked stepped-out Victorian photograph. All sharp angles and sharper eyes. Madame Rouge arrived in Ferrari. Red. Like her name. Like her lips. Like blood she'd spilled building media empire. She controlled what humans saw, believed, feared. Beautiful, how predators are beautiful. Chancellor Frost came by himself. Walked from Brownstone 10 blocks away. He was law. Who decided what rules vampires followed? What punishments fit crimes? Cold, precise, unforgiving. Lady Nightshade arrived in car, seeming made of shadows. She handled occult, magic, things even vampires didn't fully understand. Wore black, all was black. Eyes saw things that weren't there, or maybe were but shouldn't be. The arbiter was last. Came alone. No car, no announcement. One moment foyer empty. Next he stood there, figure in hooded robe hiding face. Never spoke, never revealed identity. Judge, executioner, who ensured rules followed and those who broke them paid. Lucian greeted each personally, shook hands, exchanged pleasantries, welcomed them into his home. Vivian played hostess, radiant in red dress, probably costing what Brenna made yearly, laughed, charmed, made small talk about art and travel and weather. Dominic stood by bar, watching, waiting, eyes kept flicking to clock, to wine decanters on serving cart, to Lucian, 8 o'clock, dinner served. They sat at a long table. Lucian at head, Vivian to his right. Council members arranged by rank. Dominic stood behind Lucian, loyal soldier, trusted second. First course consumed in polite conversation. Business, territory disputes, ongoing tensions with lichen packs, normal concerns for abnormal beings. Then came wine. Brenna entered from kitchen, crisp uniform, hair perfect, hands steady as she pushed cart with decanters. Lucian watched her approach, saw a moment of hesitation, deep breath before reaching table. She'd done it, switched tags, added serum. Now came performance. Dominic, Lucian said, voice carrying across table, would you do honors? Vintage from 1890. I've been saving for special occasion. Dominic's eyes gleamed. This was it, his moment. He approached cart, hand hovered over decanters. Brenna positioned them perfectly, clear crystal slightly closer. The one Dominic thought was for Lucian. His hand moved, sleight of hand so quick most would miss it. Tiny vial appeared in palm. He uncorked clear decanter, pretended smelling, and in that moment 3 drops of liquid fell into wine. Frenzy inducer. He recorked, smiled, picked up tray. With pleasure, sir. Moved around table, poured from red decanter for Lord Alistair, for Madame Rouge, for Chancellor Frost, for Lady Nightshade, for Vivian. Then came to Lucian. Picked up clear decanter, the one he'd just poisoned, poured carefully into Lucian's glass. To the king, Dominic said, raising his own glass. He'd poured from red decanter for himself. To the king, council echoed. Lucian raised glass. Clear wine caught light, looked innocent, pure. To the truth, he said quietly. They drank. Lucian felt burn of alcohol, nothing else. Wine was clean. But a round table reaction started immediately. Lord Alistair frowned, touched throat. This vintage, it has peculiar spice. Madame Rouge set glass down slowly, hand shaking. Chancellor Frost's eyes widened. Lady Nightshade's face went pale. And Dominic. Dominic grabbed table edge, glass fell, shattered on floor, red wine spreading like blood. He looked at Lucian, then at glass, back at Lucian. Understanding dawned, horror, rage, disbelief. You, he choked out. Lucian leaned back, perfectly calm. Is something wrong, old friend? Words vomited from Dominic's mouth. He tried stopping, clamped hand over lips, but they forced through, muffled, desperate. True. I want to kill you. Wanted to kill you 50 years. Been sleeping with Vivian 3 years. We're going to turn you into statue with white oleander. Room went silent. Vivian's face went white, then red. Stood so fast, chair fell backward. Dominic, shut up. I can't, he roared. Face purple with effort, stopping speech. Plan was drug you tonight. Make you crazy so council executes you. I hate you, always hated you. You killed Isabel, killed the only thing I ever loved. Lord Alistair stood, voice slurred, confused. I knew about plot. Arbiter ordered me observing, seeing if Lucian's strong enough surviving. I was supposed reporting back. Madame Rouge's hands pressed to mouth. But truth came anyway. I funded White Oleander purchase through Swiss accounts, $300,000. I wanted Lucian gone. He's too soft on humans, too weak. Council needs stronger leadership. Chancellor Frost was weeping, actual tears running down face. I approved compound transfer, signed papers myself. I thought protecting our kind, making us stronger. I was wrong. Oh God, I was wrong. Only Lady Nightshade remained silent, hadn't drunk from glass, watching chaos with dark, knowing eyes, and Arbiter. He stood in corner, still, silent, observing. Vivian tried running, made 3 steps before truth serum hit full force, doubled over, gasped. "I never loved him," she screamed, words tearing out like shrapnel. "Only wanted money. He's boring and old, and I hate how he smells. I hate this place. Hate all of you. Just wanted being rich and free and don't care who I had to destroy getting there." She collapsed to knees, sobbing, confessing sins never meant speaking aloud. Lucian stood, walked to Chaos Center, face calm, almost bored, like watching play he'd seen before. "It seems," he said, voice cutting through screaming, "there is conspiracy in my court." He looked at Arbiter. Hooded figure nodded once. Council guards appeared from shadows. Seized Dominic, Vivian, Lord Alistair, Madame Rouge, Chancellor Frost, hauled them away as they screamed and confessed and begged. Dining room emptied, until only Lucian, Lady Nightshade, Arbiter, and Brenna remained. Lucian's phone buzzed. He pulled out. Read message. Face went cold. "Did you check the basement? A." He looked up, met Arbiter's hidden gaze. Arbiter tilted head. Gesture might have been confirmation, or warning, or both. Lucian turned to Brenna. "Come with me. Now." They ran. Elevator descended into darkness. Brenna's hand gripped rail so tightly, knuckles went white. Lucian stood perfectly still beside her, staring at floor numbers ticking downward. Past lobby, past parking levels, into sub-basements, into spaces having no business existing beneath residential Manhattan building. Elevator shuddered, groaned, lights flickered. "What's down there?" Lucian didn't answer immediately, jaw set. Eyes gone that crimson color, meaning human mask was slipping, meaning whatever waited below was bad enough waking the predator. Something that should have stayed buried. Elevator stopped with heavy thud at level -5. Doors groaned open like mouth. Air rushing in was frigid, smelled of damp earth and rust, and something else, something distressingly sweet, like flowers left too long in vase, like rot dressed as perfume. They stepped into catacombs. Emergency lights flickered. On, off, on, creating strobe effect, making shadows dance. Walls were rough stone, weeping with moisture, floor uneven, ancient. This place predated Dakota, predated New York as city. This was old earth, old stone, old darkness here, long before humans built towers above. Lucian moved forward with predatory grace, silent despite leather shoes, every sense extended, listening, smelling, feeling air for disturbances. Brenna followed close, too close. If he stopped, she'd run into him, but couldn't help it. Darkness here was absolute in spaces between lights, kind of dark, making you doubt your own existence. They passed vault doors, 1 through 6, each sealed, each silent, then reached Vault 7. Wheel lock spun open. Heavy door stood ajar, seal broken from inside. Deep gouges marked metal, like something with claws tore its way out. Lucian pushed door fully open. Hinges shrieked. Sound echoed through catacombs like warning coming too late. Inside, vault was empty of artifacts, shelves bare, dust covering everything except circular area in center. In that circle sat large glass cylinder, 7 feet tall, 3 feet diameter, had been filled with greenish nutrient fluid. Thick cables ran from cylinder to portable generator in corner. Generator hummed, still running, still powering nothing. Glass was shattered, broken from inside out. Shards scattered across concrete floor, mixed with viscous slime rapidly drying, turning brown, flaking like dead skin. Brenna gasped. Covered mouth. Lucian knelt by broken glass, touched slime with one finger. It burned. Actually burned. Skin sizzled where it made contact. Wound healed instantly, but message clear. Whatever had been in this cylinder was powerful enough, hurting vampire by proximity alone. What was in there? Lucian stood. Crimson eyes scanned vault, looking for clues, finding only absence. Not what? Who? He pointed to fabric stuck to jagged glass shard. Gray linen. Ancient. Stiff with age. Embroidered with gold thread in pattern Brenna didn't recognize, but Lucian clearly did. Eagle clutching lightning bolt. His face went pale, paler than usual, which for vampire meant something very wrong. No, not possible. He was destroyed at Pompeii. Who? Octavius. Name meant nothing to Brenna, but the way Lucian said it, fear in his voice, that meant everything. Who was Octavius? Lucian looked at her. For first time since she'd known him, he looked genuinely afraid. One of ancients, progenitor. First-generation vampires. They don't think like us, Brenna. Don't want money or power or territory. Only want to consume. They are pure hunger given form. And this one's been asleep 2,000 years. Then Lucian's eyes caught something else. He walked to far wall, hidden in shadow. 2 more cylinders, identical to shattered one. 7 feet tall, 3 feet diameter. But these were intact, sealed, glass dark, opaque. Whatever nutrient fluid filled them was black as oil. Inside each cylinder, a shape, humanoid, suspended, unmoving, but not dead. Brenna followed his gaze, gasped when she saw them. There are more? Lucian approached cylinders slowly, cautiously, like approaching sleeping tigers. Generators connected to these were offline, dark. Displays read, stasis, indefinite. He peered through dark glass of first cylinder, could barely make out shape inside. Gray skin. Skeletal, ancient. Bronze plate bolted to cylinder base read, Augustus, captured Rome, 476 AD. Second cylinder's plate read, Livia, captured Byzantium 537 AD. 2 more, Lucian breathed, voice hollow. 2 more progenitors. Octavius had siblings. Why didn't they wake? These generators are off. Octavius's was on, running, feeding him. Someone deliberately woke only him, left these 2 sleeping. Why? Lucian looked at cylinders, at ancient horrors waiting inside. Insurance, or threat. Wake them if I don't comply with something. He turned to Brenna, face grim. We need to leave, now. If Octavius woke, these 2 might be next. Sound echoed from far catacomb end, wet, slithering, like something large dragging across stone, followed by low growl vibrating in Brenna's teeth, making fillings ache. Lights flickered, died, plunged them into total darkness. Brenna's breath caught, couldn't see anything. Dark was complete, absolute, kind existing before light was invented. She felt Lucian's hand grab hers, grip iron, cold, but steady. Don't make sound, he whispered directly into ear. Don't move unless I pull you. Understand? She nodded. Realized he probably couldn't see that either, whispered back, yes. For Lucian, darkness was just palette shift. Catacombs went from black to shades of gray and infrared heat. He could see walls, floor, vault doors, and he could see it. The thing. Octavius. Or what remained after 2 millennia forced dormancy, hunting them, moving through tunnels with predatory patience, sniffing air, tasting it, looking for prey. Lucian pulled Brenna tight against side, concentrated, reached for old magic, power predating civilization. He dissolved into mist, difficult while holding human, exponentially harder, like wading through concrete carrying weights. Every molecule screamed with effort, but he managed. Turned them both into shadow, into nothing. Rematerialized 50 feet down branching corridor, behind stack of old construction materials, barely in time. Where they'd stood seconds before, massive shape hurtled from darkness, 7 feet tall, maybe more. Moving on all fours like wolf, but bigger, so much bigger. Emergency lights buzzed back to life for a flickering moment. Brenna saw it, had to bite her own wrist keeping from screaming. Tasted blood, didn't care, because what she saw wasn't something that should exist. Humanoid. Barely. Proportions wrong. Too tall, too thin in some places, too thick in others. Like something tried building person from memory, but got details wrong. Skin color of bruised granite, gray with purple undertones, stretched tight over skeletal muscle. No hair, no fat. Just skin and sinew and bone. Eyes, milky white, glowing with internal light, hateful and hungry and horribly aware. But mouth was worst. Ruin of needle teeth. Too many teeth, seemed too big for jaw. Constantly weeping, black saliva dripping onto stone and hissing. Actually, hissing, eating into rock. Naked, except for rags of ancient gray linen clinging to waist, fabric from cylinder, from Roman soldier's uniform 2,000 years dead. Creature, Octavius, progenitor. It sniffed air loudly. Wet, rattling sound. Head swiveled, tracking scents that weren't there anymore. Let out frustrated roar. Sound shook dust from ceiling, made vault doors rattle in frames, lost them, for now, turned, lumbered toward elevator shaft. Wasn't mindless, that was terrifying part. It knew where exit was, knew where food was, upstairs, in lobby, in penthouse. Hundreds of people in Dakota building, all warm, all bleeding, all prey. It's going up, Brenna whispered, horror dawning. The party, staff. If it reaches lobby, it'll slaughter everyone in building in 10 minutes, Lucian finished grimly. Needs to feed, regain full strength, fresh blood, lots of it. He looked at girl beside him, trembling, terrified, out of mind. But first instinct wasn't run, wasn't save herself, was think about others, about staff, guests. Innocent people having no idea, nightmare climbed toward them. He felt something in chest. Warmth he hadn't experienced since before turning. Something he thought burned out centuries ago. Pride. We have to stop it, Brenna said. Not question, statement. We will, Lucian said. But I can't fight that head on, not down here in dark. It's apex predator in this environment. Need to lure it to ground of my choosing. Where? Penthouse. Armory. They moved through service tunnels, following parallel path to creature. Lucian knew shortcuts, maintenance corridors branching off main catacombs, narrow passages even Dominic didn't know. They reached lobby level just as main elevator doors pinged open. Scene was chaos. Creature beat them there. Night doorman already gone. Broken heap behind marble desk. Neck twisted at impossible angle. Eyes still open. Still staring at something he'd never have time understanding. 2 high council guards firing silver-plated rounds at gray blur moving faster than human eyes could track. Bullets hit, punched into gray flesh, did nothing. Wounds closed almost immediately. Silver didn't work. Nothing they had would work. Creature swatted one guard across lobby. Man hit marble wall with sound like beef hitting concrete. Slumped. Didn't move. Head sat at angle, meaning spine shattered. Second guard tried running. Creature grabbed him by throat. Lifted off ground with one hand. Guard's feet kicked. Scrambled for purchase that wasn't there. Octavius opened terrible mouth. Needle teeth descended. He bit into guard's neck. Sound of feeding was wet. Grotesque. Bones cracking. Flesh tearing. Blood spraying across pristine marble. Lucian didn't draw a weapon. Didn't have time. He roared. Challenge. King declaring war. Sound filled lobby. Echoed off high ceilings. Made chandelier crystals chime. Octavius dropped guard. Body fell like puppet with cut strings. Ancient progenitor turned. focused milky white eyes on Lucian. Recognition flickered across inhuman face, smile that was all teeth and malice. Then Lucian threw himself at Creature, hit Octavius with force of car crash. They went through mahogany concierge desk, splintering wood, shattering glass, tumbling across floor in tangle of limbs and fury. "Brenna, run!" Lucian shouted. "Penthouse! Protocol Zero! Go!" Brenna ran. Didn't look back. Couldn't. If she looked back, she'd stop. If she stopped, she'd try helping. If she tried helping, she'd die. Behind her, sounds of combat, snarling, crashing, wet thud of fists hitting flesh. She hit stairwell door, threw it open, started climbing. 14 flights, took them 2 at time, lungs burning, legs screaming. She could hear fight below, hear it spreading, crashing through lobby, out onto street. Reached penthouse level, burst through service door, apartment eerily quiet. Dinner guests were gone. Fled at first sounds of screaming downstairs. Apartment empty except ghosts and shadows. She ran to study. Security panel hidden behind painting. Portrait of Lucian from 1800s. All severe lines and cold eyes. She ripped it off wall. Keypad blinked. Waiting. Protocol Zero. What was code? Lucian never told her directly, but she remembered something he said. 3 nights ago in Vault, when he'd told her about Isabel, about tragedy breaking Dominic, the date, only time Lucian mentioned feeling truly human. Day the music died. Brenna typed 020311959. Panel beeped green. Protocol Zero initiated. Massive steel shutters slammed down over floor-to-ceiling windows. Sound like thunder. Like building itself, sealing wounds. Heavy deadbolts thudded into place on front doors. Penthouse now fortress. Impenetrable from outside. And Lucian was still outside. Brenna slumped against wall, gasping for air, uniform soaked with sweat, hands shaking so badly she could barely hold them still. Then she heard it. Thump, thump, thump. Heavy footsteps, wet, deliberate, coming down hallway toward study. Wasn't Lucian. Creature climbed outside of building, scaled 14 stories of stone and steel like spider. Got inside before shutters closed. In penthouse with her, and Lucian was trapped outside. Brenna pressed flat against floor behind heavy mahogany desk. Tried making herself small, invisible. Skill perfected over 6 months. Please let it work now. Please let her be invisible one more time. Wet breathing filled study. Close. Too close. Voice like boulders grinding together. Speaking in language old when Rome was young. But Brenna understood anyway. Some meanings transcended words. I can hear your heart, little mouse. It beats so fast, so frightened, so alive. Footsteps moved closer, circling room, hunting. Your king is outside. He cannot help you. He is modern, weak. In my time, we did not hide behind steel walls. We feasted in open. Massive gray hand gripped desk edge. Brenna screamed as desk was flipped into air like cardboard, crashed against far wall, exploded into splinters, $1,000 of antique wood reduced to kindling. She was exposed. Octavius towered over her. 7 feet of primordial nightmare. Milky eyes glowed with hunger. He reached down, fingers ending in black serrated claws. No. Brenna swung only weapon she had. Silver letter opener from floor. Struck Creature's palm. Smoke hissed where silver touched skin. Flesh burned, blackened. Octavius roared, not pain, annoyance. Like man discovering ant, bit him. He backhanded Brenna. Blow didn't connect fully, just air from it, but force sent her skidding across Persian rug. Hit wall hard. Vision swam. Stars exploded behind eyes. Tasted blood. Octavius loomed over her, opened jaws. Needle teeth descended, dripping black saliva eating stone. You have spirit. You will taste sweet. Ceiling exploded. Glass, steel, rain, showered down into study. Whole size of car torn and reinforced skylight. Frame ripped out by sheer brute strength. Lucian dropped into room, landed in crouch between Brenna and Ancient, drenched, suit shredded. Blood covered him, some his, most not. Eyes blazed crimson, fangs fully extended. All over exposed skin, glowing blue runic tattoos pulsed with violent light. Brenna never seen them before, didn't know they existed. They covered arms, chest, neck, ancient symbols predating written language. Power from bloodline ruling Europe when dragons were still living memory. He wasn't just vampire right now, channeling something older, something making even progenitors pause. "I told you," Lucian said, voice vibrating with lethal harmonic resonance. "Get out!" Octavius roared and charged. Collision was seismic. They slammed into bookshelves. Centuries of literature exploded into confetti. First editions, irreplaceable manuscripts, all destroyed in seconds. They moved faster than Brenna's eyes could track, blur of gray and black, punctuated by sickening sounds of tearing flesh and breaking bone. Lucian was faster. 300 years combat experience, master of modern martial arts and ancient techniques. Landed flurry of blows to Octavius's throat, knees, kidneys, surgical strikes designed to disable. But Octavius was older. Raw power wrestling lions in Colosseum absorbed hits. Countered with haymaker catching Lucian across jaw, sent him flying through double doors into hallway. Doorframe shattered, ripped from wall. Octavius pursued. Moving on all fours now, pure predator. No pretense of humanity left. Brenna pulled herself up. Side ached, probably cracked rib, limped toward hallway. Every instinct screamed run other way, to hide, to survive, but couldn't leave him. In hallway, Lucian was losing. Octavius had him pinned against wall, one massive hand crushing Lucian's throat. Blue tattoos were flickering, fading. Power draining as he struggled for air he didn't technically need, but body still craved. "You fight like child," Octavius spat, tightening grip. "You rely on speed, on tricks. I am mountain, I am inevitable." Lucian gagged, clawed at massive arm. Fingers drew blood, but didn't matter. Octavius didn't care about pain. "Brenna," Lucian choked out. "The panel." Brenna looked around frantically. Smart home control panel on wall, touchscreen, dozens of options. Lighting, temperature, security, music. "The panel," Lucian yelled. Voice barely rasped. "Son!" Brenna lunged for it. Fingers flew across glass. Lighting controls. Moods party mode. Romance. Relax. Where was it? Octavius raised free hand, claws poised to tear Lucian's heart out. End this. End modern pretender who thought he could stand against antiquity. Die, pretender. Brenna found it. Preset labeled Solar Flare. She slammed hand on icon. Click. Hum. Hallway flooded with blinding white light. Military-grade UV floodlights. Recessed into ceiling. Designed mimicking intensity of midday Sahara sun. 10,000 watts artificial sunlight. Effect on Octavius immediate and catastrophic. Ancient shrieked. Sound so high-pitched it shattered Ming vase on side table. Gray skin began blistering instantly. Smoke rose from flesh. Smell of burning filled air, like meat left too long on grill, like cremation. He dropped Lucian, stumbled back, covered face with hands, but it was everywhere. Light was everywhere. No shadows to hide in, no darkness to retreat to. "My eyes," Octavius howled. "You burn me. You dare burn me?" Lucian dropped to floor, gasping. UV didn't hurt him badly. He was younger, stronger, more adapted to modern world, but still hurt. Skin reddened, started smoking. He rolled to feet, grabbed sword hanging on wall. Decorative. Civil War cavalry saber. Not ideal, but better than nothing. But wasn't enough. UV lights were damaging Octavius, but wouldn't kill progenitor. Already skin was adapting, hardening into charred carapace, shielding flesh beneath. Eyes burned shut, but already healing. Slowly, painfully, but healing. He blindly swung massive fist, smashed lights overhead, sparks rained down. Hallway returned to semi-darkness. 3 lights destroyed, 7 more to go, but he was learning fast. Finding lights by sound, by heat, by pure rage. Octavius panted, skin smoking, eyes burned shut, but still standing. "You burned me. I will tear this building down brick by brick, feast on everyone inside, starting with girl." Lucian looked at sword in hand, then at Brenna. She was crawling toward armory door at hall's end, moving despite pain, despite fear, still fighting. He made decision. "Brenna," Lucian said, voice calm despite chaos. "Do you trust me?" Brenna looked at him, at monster, back at vampire king who'd never been anything but kind to people everyone else ignored. "Yes." "Run to armory. Get the Jericho." "What is—" "It's shotgun, chrome. You'll know when you see it. Load with shells marked in red. Go." Lucian charged blind monster. Bought her time. Drew Octavius's attention. Ancient swung wildly. Lucian ducked, weaved, cut with saber. Opened shallow wounds, healing almost immediately. Brenna scrambled past, ducked under swing that would have taken her head, reached armory door, locked, punched in code 020-319-59. Door hissed open, pneumatic seals releasing. Inside was room belonging in military base, walls lined with weapons, guns, swords, stakes, crossbows, things Brenna didn't have names for, and there, on special mount, Jericho shotgun, chrome-plated, short-barreled, engraved with crosses and Latin prayers, beautiful and terrible. Next to it, box of shells, red casings, labeled in Lucian's precise handwriting, white phosphorus plus holy water. Brenna grabbed gun. Heavy, heavier than practice session, or maybe her arms just weaker now, shaking with adrenaline crash. Fumbled with shells, loaded them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, full capacity. From hallway, sickening crunch. Lucian cried out in pain. She racked slide. Sound loud. Definitive sound of line being crossed. Sound of decision being made. She ran back. Hallway was war zone. Paintings destroyed. Walls cracked. Blood on floor. Lucian was down. Octavius had one massive foot on Lucian's chest, pinning him. Ancient's eyes were regenerating, milky white, seeing through charred lids. He raised both hands, poised to crush Lucian's skull. "Now, you die. Legacy dies with you." "Hey!" Octavius turned head. Brenna stood 10 feet away, shotgun leveled at chest, stance wrong, grip too tight. Shaking so hard barrel wobbled, but eyes were steady. "Hey, ugly." Octavius looked. At girl. Pray. Nothing. Smile crossed ruined face. "You think that toy can hurt me?" Brenna's finger found trigger. "Eat this," she whispered. She pulled trigger. Boom was deafening. Recoil nearly dislocated shoulder. Stumbled back. Kept feet. Red shell didn't fire lead. Fired capsule. White phosphorus mixed with concentrated holy water. Compressed it into package designed for one purpose. To burn things that couldn't be burned. Round hit Octavius center mass. Punched through sternum. Exploded inside chest cavity. Phosphorus ignited at 3,000 degrees. Holy water prevented regeneration. Combination beyond catastrophic. Octavius screamed. Sound not of this world. White fire spread instantly, consuming from inside. He stumbled backward, clawing at chest, but touching flames only spread them to hands, to arms. "Do it again," Lucian yelled, kicked Octavius's leg out. Ancient fell, hit floor hard. Brenna racked slide, fired again, and again. Second shot hit throat. Third, his head. Each impact detonated. Each explosion of white fire spread conflagration. Octavius thrashed, tried putting flames out, but phosphorus didn't go out, didn't stop, didn't care about willpower or ancient power or 2,000 years' existence. Chemistry didn't negotiate. Brenna kept firing. Fourth shot, fifth, sixth, Didn't stop until gun clicked empty. Where ancient progenitor stood, now only fire. White, pure, holy, burning away 2 millennia of hunger and hatred and horror. Flames died slowly, consumed everything they could, left nothing but ash, gray powder that might have once been Roman soldier, that might have once been human before curse took hold. Ash settled. Hallway went quiet except Brenna's ragged breathing. Lucian lay on floor, chest bruised, suit destroyed, but alive, healing. Blue tattoos faded completely. He looked at ash pile, then at Brenna. She stood over remains, shotgun hanging loose in grip, face pale, whole body shaking with delayed shock, but standing. Is it dead? He's dead. Gone. Dust. Lucian crawled to her. Didn't care about dignity, didn't care about being king, reached up, took shotgun gently from trembling hands, set aside. Brenna, look at me. She looked down, eyes huge, in shock, processing what she just did. You killed progenitor. Understand what you've done? You've just become most dangerous human in New York. Brenna let out shaky laugh, turned into sob. She collapsed. Lucian caught her, lowered gently to floor, held her while she cried, while adrenaline wore off and left behind only crushing weight of survival. I just want cup of tea, she whispered through tears. Lucian smiled, winced as split lip protested, but smiled anyway. I think I can manage that. 3 days later. Sun was setting over Central Park, casting long golden shadows across repaired terrace of Dakota penthouse. Glass replaced, floors refinished, walls repainted. To outside world, just renovation. Routine maintenance in building over century old. No one mentioned ash pile that had been swept up and sealed in lead container. No one talked about guards who died in lobby. High Council cleaned it up, made it disappear. That's what they did. Lucian stood on balcony, fresh suit. Looked like he hadn't been beaten within inch of immortal life 72 hours ago. Healing had been slow, painful, but complete. Sliding door opened. Brenna stepped out. Wasn't wearing Maid's uniform. Wore midnight blue evening gown. Simple. Elegant. Kind of dress costing more than she used to make yearly. Hair down. Cascading in soft waves. Looked uncomfortable, like wearing someone else's skin. I feel ridiculous. Lucian turned. Really looked at her. Not as staff, not as employee, but as someone who saved his life. Who stood between him and oblivion, armed with nothing but courage and shotgun. You look regal. Brenna tugged at silk. Uniform is burned. I don't have anything for work tomorrow. You won't be needing it again. Her face fell. So I'm fired. Promoted. He walked over, reached into jacket pocket, pulled out small velvet box. Brenna's breath hitched. Lucian, He opened it. Inside wasn't ring, was pin. Silver, crest of Ravencroft family. 3 ravens in flight over crescent moon, encrusted with sapphires catching dying light. Insignia of seneschal. King's right hand. I fired rest of inner circle, all of them. Dominic's rot went deep. I need new household, new counsel, people I can trust. He took pin out carefully, held it up. I need someone who isn't afraid telling me to stay silent, someone who can shoot shotgun without blinking. I need partner, Brenna, not servant. He pinned crest to her dress. Fingers brushed collarbone. She shivered. Not from fear this time. What about Celeste, my sister? Safe, in new apartment in Brooklyn. Paid for. Full security detail. She doesn't know why. Thinks she won scholarship housing lottery. Let her think that. Brenna's eyes filled with tears. My mother? Medical bills paid, best treatment available. She'll be in remission within 6 months. How did you... I'm king, Brenna. I don't do anything halfway. She touched pin, felt weight of it. Responsibility, trust. What about person who sent text? Who released Octavius? Lucian's expression darkened. Walked to balcony edge, looked at city. I traced signal, came from inside High Council building, but not from Alistair, not Rouge, not Frost. Then who? It came from Arbiter's office. Brenna gasped. Arbiter released that thing on you? Why? He came to see me yesterday. After you went checking on Celeste, we had conversation. Lucian pulled out phone, played recording. Arbiter's voice, distorted, mechanically altered, but clear. Congratulations, Lucian Ravencroft. You survived. That was point. You released progenitor into my home, killed my staff, nearly destroyed me. That was test? High Council had grown corrupt, weak, plotting against each other, against you. We needed knowing if you were strong enough leading us into next century, if you could survive betrayal from within and annihilation from below. And if I'd failed, then someone stronger would have taken your place. That's how evolution works. You're insane. I'm pragmatic. You passed, young king. You found traitors, eliminated threat, proved your worth. Council will follow you now, or join Alistair in exile. There's more, isn't there? Pause on recording. Yes. Person who orchestrated Vivian's placement, who Dominic called the Collector, who funded coup. Do you know who that is? Tell me. I don't know. And that terrifies me. Someone with resources rivaling mine. Someone who wanted Council tearing itself apart. Someone still out there, watching. And there's something else, something worse. What? The two progenitors still in Vault 7, Augustus and Livia. They're older than Octavius, more powerful, and someone knows they're there, someone who might try waking them. Recording ended. Brenna stared at Lucian. So this isn't over. No, just beginning. He turned to her, extended hand. But I'm done playing by their rules. We're going to build something new, you and I. Council that actually protects instead of plots. System valuing loyalty over power, kingdom worth defending. Brenna looked at his hand. Pale, dangerous. Taking it meant leaving human life behind forever, meant entering world of shadows and blood and politics, making human corruption look quaint. She thought about empty apartment in Queens, fear she used to live with, invisibility, endless worry about money and survival. Then looked at Lucian, monster who'd given her time off for mother, who trusted her with his life, who crawled across destroyed hallway, making sure she was okay. She took his hand. Okay, but I'm still making tea. You make it too strong. Lucian laughed, genuine, rich sound carrying over city. Pulled her close, not romantically, but carefully. Way you'd hold something precious. As you wish, my queen. As they stood watching city lights flicker on like stars being born, Lucian's phone buzzed. He pulled out, read message. Expression didn't change, but grip on Brenna's hand tightened. Text was simple. Well done, Lucian. You passed Phase 1, but 2 progenitors still sleep in Vault 7. Phase 2, wake them all, or I will, the Collector. Below message was signature, not name, just symbol, eagle, lightning bolt, and underneath, in Latin, Senatus Populusque Romanus, Senate and people of Rome, and single initial. A. Lucian looked at text, then at city, then at woman beside him. He didn't show her message, didn't want ruining this moment. Tomorrow they'd face the Collector. Tomorrow they'd deal with revelation that there were more progenitors, that this was orchestrated by someone with knowledge of Rome itself. But tonight, for just few hours, he wanted believing they'd won. He turned off phone, tossed it off balcony. It fell 50 stories. Smashed onto pavement below, shattered into pieces. He didn't need it anymore. Didn't need knowing what came next. Because for first time in 300 years, Lucian Ravencroft wasn't alone. He had ally, partner, friend. He had Brenna, and that was enough. Far below, in shadows of 72nd Street, figure stood watching penthouse, too far seeing clearly, too still being human. Figure smiled, pulled out phone, typed message. Phase 2 approved. Augustus and Livia awakening in 72 hours. Prepare the ceremony. Then vanished into New York night like smoke. Game was far from over. It was only just beginning.